Hey everybody, how's it going? Today in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to do a binary search function, which is going to be searching through an element array or an array of elements of integers. And for this example, it's going to be an array of 10 10 values, and right here I just have 10 values and they're all sorted. And this binary search function only works if your variable or values are sorted from lowest to highest. And another thing to know is that we're going to be doing this function, or this function is basically going to be searching recursively. So inside of this function, we're basically going to call the function again with different parameters, so that way it's going to be just looping through until you finally reach your destination of the value that you searched for. And if you happen to enter a value that's not in the into the array, then it's going to return a -1, and that way you know that that element wasn't in the array. So here you can see I already made our array, and next thing I did was I made another integer for the user to type in, and I call it desired. So I ask the user basically to enter a number, and I'm going to make a cin statement that will use that variable that they typed in. And next thing I'm going to do is call our function binary search. And the things that we're going to pass into this function are first our array. As you can see, that's our first thing that needs to be passed, and then our val. And I declared val as what basically we're searching for, so I'm going to add desired into next. And then our low and high variables, these are what's going to be determining what's sorting through our array. So you basically need, from this first call, we need the lowest element of the array, which is 0, and then in our case the highest element of the array, which is 9, because for an array of 10 variables we know that this first element right here is actually 0, 1, 2, 3, and it goes all the way to 9 instead of 10. So now that we have that, we called our function, but now we need to create basically the things in the function that will be doing the searching. And first thing that we need to do is create another variable which helps us cut the array into half each time that the function is called. So to do this, we're just going to say low plus high, and then we're going to divide it by 2. Now that we did this, you can see that each time, you can't see it yet, but this is what's going to be cutting the array into halves and halves and halves until you finally reach the number that you want. So next is we're going to make our first if statement, and this if statement is going to be basically checking for if our the number that we searched for was not in the array. And this basically is saying that if high is less than low, we're going to return a -1. And that's just, obviously you can see that something would be wrong if your high variable was less than low. And that means that if you were searching through this array and you were searching for maybe 11, then your high value is just going to be switched with low, and you're going to get an error, and you're not going to be able to find that value. So it's just going to return a -1, so that way we know that it didn't work. Now the next thing we need to do is make our first recursion statement, and it's going to be an else if with A, which is our array, and we're going to put the mid value into this array, and then we're going to compare it to it being greater than val. And if this happens, then we're going to return the name of our function, which is the recursion part, and then we are going to send in our same array, our same val that we're searching for, and then we're going to keep our low the same, but this is the part that's going to be changing, and that is our high variable, and we're going to put this to mid -1. Now, just to explain this real quick, say down here when we run this function we search for number 3. So we enter 3, and when it calls this function, 3 is going to be going into val, and our mid variable is going to be low plus high divided by 2. So 0 plus 9 divided by 2, this is going to, since it's an int, it's going to save mid as 4. Now 9 divided by 2 is 4.5, but in int it'll just cut it off and it'll be a 4. So now once we get to this statement here, we're looking at the array at the element, at the fourth element, and we're going to be checking if it's greater than val. So if we entered 3 and 3 is our val and a mid is 4, that means that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So right here, 5. So it's going to be checking if 5 is greater than val. And it is. 5 is greater than 3. So that means it's going to be calling this function again. And we're going to use our same array, our same val, which is 3. Low is going to stay the same, so that low is still 0 element of the array, but then our high variable is going to be changing, which is mid -1, which means that if we keep calling this function, it's basically going to get rid of this element, and also it's going to be getting rid of all of these elements to the right, because our value that we're searching for is less than what was at this element of the array. So now basically all we have in our array is these values here. So that basically solves for that type of case if the value is, or our mid value in the element is greater than val. And now we're going to basically test for the other side of the array. If a mid is less than, if a mid is less than val. And we're going to do pretty much the same thing. We're going to call our function, and then we're going to send in, it's the same array, the same value that we're searching for, but this time it's going to be, instead of low, we're going to be searching for mid +1, and our high value is going to be staying the same. So this now is checking for if you entered a number like 8, and the first time it calls, it's going to be giving you a 5, and it's going to say that 8 is greater than 5. So it's going to call the function again, except this time it's going to get rid of all of these. Now I'm going to have to stop the video real quick, and we will finish this up and we'll test it in part 2.